Welcome to another edition of the Sim Racing Garage. I'm Barry Rowland. In this episode, we'll be reviewing the strictly limited edition F1 2020 Clubsport wheel, released in support of the new F1 2020 Codemasters game. With an open bottom design, forged carbon fiber faceplate, and a very good new shifter set, this looks to be another winner from Fanatec. Time to put it through the SRG's review process and see how it does. So, let's get to it. Now for a closer look at the Fanatec, or Fanatec, however you want to say it, Clubsport steering wheel F1 2020 strictly limited edition steering wheel. Got to be the longest name ever for a Fanatec product, I think. And of course, you probably see it glistening already under the lights. Isn't that cool? All right, so the first thing that sticks out on this wheel when I saw it was, well, we don't have any bottom connection here on the front 5mm carbon fiber plate like we do on my V2 wheel. All right, so there's the V2 with the connection. Now, when I first saw that, I said, well, that's probably not going to be quite as stiff as that wheel if you hold it in your hand and try to twist it around. And it's not, especially if you put your hands towards the bottom, because obviously we don't have the connection piece in there. But when you're driving the wheel, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's very, very stiff through here. So it really doesn't matter to have that gone. Of course, some people it may, I don't know, everybody has a different opinion of things like that, but when I was actually driving this wheel, it didn't have any effect. I really didn't notice any flex in it. In fact, it was pretty comfortable compared to this one. And it might have been because there's a little bit more flex in this to where when I was running it, it just, or maybe it's the leather grips, I don't know. It was just different, and it felt different in a good way. All right, so first thing we see here, besides that missing, is the reflective surface on here. Now, this is a forged carbon fiber overlay on this front 5mm plate. Now, the rest of it's still the regular carbon weave plate, all right? But you can see under the lights how that changes the reflectivity. And this is a matte finish on this. It's not gloss, as you can see there, all right? So it has a very cool look to it. Now, forged carbon fiber has been around for a while. And I'm not sure which one's stronger. I'm sure there's all kinds of debates about which one's stronger. But yeah, I know it's used in cars a lot because it has a nice, you got to admit, a nice aesthetic look to it. So a good change from the usual carbon fiber layup that we usually see. And it's used in other products too, not just car products. In fact, I've had this for a while. This is from the guys at Simply Carbon Fiber. And this is also a forged carbon fiber foam protector. So you can see, again, the 3D, the deep 3D effect. Look at that. It's awesome that this has, right? And I really like the reflective look of this material. So yeah, very cool from the guys at Simply Carbon Fiber. And if you guys are interested in that kind of cool stuff like this, then I'll actually put a link in the description to Simply Carbon Fiber. And they make a lot of stuff out of carbon fiber, the regular, traditional, and this kind of forged carbon look too. So in case you guys are interested in something like that, you can look them up and take a look at that stuff. Right. So back to the wheel. Now, we also notice there's a gold accent to this wheel. And yeah, some people may like this, some people may not. It's very subjective when it comes to color. And when I first saw it, I wasn't sure. But it's one of those things, like so many things in life, once you see it in person, close up, in a real live view, it really kind of, it goes all right. I don't mind it. I'm personally not a big fan of the color gold, but yeah, it goes okay, I think. And we have the hub, obviously, is gold accented back here. The usual hub from Fanatec, quick release. You see all the pins in there. And yeah, so other than that piece being missing, it feels very much and looks very much like the other Formula wheels, which is probably Fanatec's intention. Why mess with success, right? So what else can we talk about here? It has the same layout as far as buttons as the other stuff. We have the 7-way over here, and we have the analog thumb type. It's also a switch here that kind of rolls around. Again, boy, I would just love to see Fanatec put another 7-way over here and just make a PC wheel. And forget about the PS, the console or the Xbox compatibility. And that would be very, very cool. Even though they say this has 64 functions available in certain games that you're in, still, 7 moves over here and over here, 14 moves in just 2 of these is very cool, especially for VR users. You can do a lot of things and you don't have to search around for other little buttons. But anyway, everything, it feels very good here, very stiff, very positive on these rotaries here, these 12-way switches. Everything feels good as usual. I usually don't get loose dials when it comes to Fanatec equipment. And we have the thumbs up here that are just like the thumbs it feels like to me as the ones on the other wheel. And the indentations are very close here, so it's not easy just to pick one, especially if you're driving and the wheel's moving around and you're racing. It's hard to grab just one, but it's good for scrolling if that's what you need. If you need to change something a lot, then it's easy to change a few clicks just by moving it a little bit. So it depends on how you look at it, I guess. And the buttons, that you can see the dials are actually have the gold accents inside, which is kind of nice. And they're going the extra mile here for their strictly limited edition F1 2020 wheel. And you would expect that. I mean, we've got this nice carbon finish. We have the F1 logo on here, and this is PlayStation 4 compatible also, for you guys who are wondering that. And let's see what else we can talk about. Well, the perforated leather grips. This is very nice, actually. It wears well. It feels good in hand. You can see the perforations there. And on the back here, you can see we still have the holes in here, so we can replace these if we wear them out for whatever reasons. But yeah, it feels good in hand, especially without a glove. Yeah, this is definitely, if you don't like to wear gloves, this is a great finish to have on your handles. Any kind of leather is good. And of course, the perforated is going to make it a little bit cooler because of the little holes in there. Will give us some ventilation while we're grabbing our wheel with a death clutch when we're trying to dive bomb the guy next to us. All right, so other than that, yeah, pretty much the same. We got some cool button features here as far as the stickers. We'll get that in a minute. Let's go ahead and look around the back here. Now, there is a magnetic paddle module on here, they're calling this. All right, so this is new. This is not something they've had before. And it's a very good feeling shifter. You can see it kind of sticks up a bit. See how it kind of has wings? And of course, we can see the numbers on them on the bottom there. All right. And of course, we can still put your APM module on this, the advanced paddle module from Fanatec or Fanatec. And we have them right here on this wheel, right? So you can still put these on because the centers on these bolt holes in here, oh, well, you guys can see those, but the centers on those puppies are the same. And it's hard to see them. There they are. Barely see them there. So we can actually put the APM on this too, if that is your desire. Now, another thing about these shifters, this is all aluminum housing, very nicely done as usual in the Fanatec tradition. Everything's very nicely done here. And it has you can hear it's not clicking real loud, but it has a very small short pull to it. So it's easy to get, if you're in after a Formula One car and you're in 8th gear coming down to 7th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 would be, or coming down to 7 gears to 1 would be very easy to do. Or just, 1, 2, 3, just very quick, easy to do. And you can hear it's not making a lot of noise because it has the rubber bits on them. You can see that there. That little rubber piece is actually on the paddle itself, the paddle arm down there, and that's hitting the top in here. And of course, on the bottom, we have the same thing. And again, not easy to see here, but it's got one on the bottom. All right, keeps it very quiet. Now, you can actually take these off if you want to. You can pull this out and take them off. And then that would give you, obviously, a much louder click. So it depends on where you're driving. If you're driving somewhere in your closet down the hall, then it probably wouldn't make any difference that you're clicking louder or you're down in mom's basement or something. But yeah, if you're in a room next to somebody trying to study or sleep, you probably want to keep these rubber babies on, right? And they feel good. So yeah, just a shifter, but no paddles for your analog clutch, right? So you have to get APM if you want that, and it was intentional. And also the paddles here is something to note. Again, we have that forged carbon fiber theme going on over here. Very nice. And it's on both sides. Oh, well, that's going to show up because I'm blocking my light. There's I think you see it there on the other side. So it's on both sides. And a bonus here, which I'm very pleased to see personally on here at the SRG, is we now have a 3mm thick carbon paddle, right? Where the APMs, and I think I stated this when I was reviewing these modules, are just a bit too thin, I think. Definitely not automotive quality, but they get the job done. But these are only 2mm. You can see the difference. See how thin that is? And it's got a fine feel to it. Can't complain about that. And you can see it's a quick shift too. It doesn't move very far. And I put a lot of shifts on these. So you can't really complain about that. But the thickness is what always concerned me because down here they have the counterboard holes in there, or beveled holes, if you will, all right, that the screws fit on. So they've taken more material away to get these screws to fit flat like that, which is nice that they do fit flat, but it just a concern. I haven't heard really of anybody there's breaking, but this is, yeah, no doubt here with the 3 mil. And it just feels better in my hand. It just feels, it's hard to explain. It's one of those things you have to hold in your hand yourself. Of course, again, this is all subjective, and this just feels a little bendy under finger when you're using it. Gets the job done. You know, I really never, as far as usage, it doesn't affect anything. It's just a feel thing, and this feels much, to me, it just feels better. Anyway, so what else can we talk about here? I think that's about it as far as this goes. And yeah, you can see the carbon fiber is 5mm thick plate, just like the other one, which is good. And you can see the carbon fiber pieces here, kind of sticking out of the grip where they cut them off. It's still going all the way through the grip itself. And again, you can see the carbon fiber weave here. I think you can see that under the lights on the sides under here. There we go. That's a good shot of it. The one over here. And you can see the carbon fiber weave. So again, this forged carbon fiber is an overlay here. Now, let's talk a bit about all these stickers you get. First, you get the usual quick guide here that tells you everything about the wheel, to get started. You know, putting the advanced paddle modules on, just the usual guides that we get, and you know, that we get from Fanatic or Fanatec. So we also get these stickers. These are actually a matte finish. They doesn't really reflect in the light. Kind of neat. Matte finish, Fanatec. So you can put it all over your wheels, in your cockpit, in your desk, and whatever, in your car going down the road. And we also get some stickers for our buttons. Now the buttons are a little bit different here. They've gone a different route here. I'm going to pull one of these off. And you can see how shiny they are, right? I'm going to pull this one off over here. And you can see underneath the button we have the usual Fanatec kind of a concave switch in here, which has a good feel to it. Again, I never had a problem really with these, the tactile feel that you get out of these Fanatec buttons. Now, here's the cap. And it is, you can see it's got kind of a rim around it. I don't know how that's going to show up. Get my fingers out of the way, but there's a rim around that. There you go. I think maybe it shows a little better there. So these stickers are sized precisely so that they will fit, look at ones that are black, into that. You can see these are circles. Turn it that way, you can see how they are. So they'll fit directly inside of this. Or if you don't want to just do this, you can change the color of your buttons. How about that? I told you, they're going the extra mile here on their 2020, or their F1 2020 strictly limited edition. We get some more Fanatec stickers, so we can, in case you didn't have enough already, you can stick some more stuff, stickers everywhere. And we got different colors here. We got everything from purple down here to yellow, and this gold here is the same gold theme, I believe, or very close. Well, maybe not. It should be a little lighter, I guess, but it's close to, and it is gold. So if you want to keep the gold theme going, they got that color. And we've got greens, blues, and all kinds of stuff there, purples, pinks, whatever you want. Now, if we're using a lighter colored type of sticker on your button, so if you stuck like the yellow or the white on here, then we would want to use the black probably, right? And if you stuck a darker color like black, or maybe the purples or something, then we could go to our white color text. Hard to see it there, but yeah, I think you can see it enough to tell that, yeah, there's some white writing on these clear stickers, and they're all clear. And then we have these stickers, which are a little bit different. They're not made for the buttons, but they're made so you can put them on the wheel somewhere. And you can again see the white printing on these clear ones over here under the lights. So you have a plethora of stickers to put on your wheel if that's what you want to do. And they also give you these tweezers, and they're a plastic. Not sure what that material is, but it's not 3D printed. It's definitely something else. It looks like some kind of a fiberglass. You can see the reflection of the fibers in there. Some kind of a fiber reinforced deal here. And I don't think it's for taking the buttons off. I mean, you could use it for that if you wanted to. It might be for taking these stickers off and having a pair of tweezers. So when you have the button down here, you can very carefully place it and get it on there right the first time. And I would probably take these off and just set them down flat to do that. Because once you put them on, obviously we can turn them any way we want. And they slip right back on, just like that. And again, we can turn that a little bit if you get it off. It's off to the left or right or something, and you don't like it, you can turn it and get it to fit again. Right. So, yeah, that's all you get in this package, which is plenty, I suppose. And we'll call that, yeah, pretty much done for the closer look of the Clubsport steering wheel F1 2020 Strictly Limited Edition. Now for our look inside segment. Firstly, I went ahead and pulled one of the grips off on one of the sides here, and so you guys can get a look at that. And again, this is the same grip shape that is on this wheel back here. And, you know, Fanatec's always gone with this as far as the grip shape. But you can see how the perforated leather is wrapped around the edges here. I'll give you guys a shot of that. Nicely done. Really nothing to complain about here. They've even wrapped one of the plastic molding pieces here with a piece of material so it doesn't rattle. Because remember, inside these grips we have rattlers or vibrators or whatever you want to call them. And yeah, nice that we can replace these, by the way. That's one thing great about the Fanatec wheels is that we can replace this stuff. And so if you wear it out or you rip it or something, or somebody chews through it, like your cat or your dog, then you can always get another one. And by the way, this indentation here is for our motor. And here is the motor. We'll take a look at now that we have this off. And there's our vibration motor. And as you guys are probably familiar with this, it has that little half moon piece of metal on it that as it goes around, that weight gets turned around by the motor or spun up by the motor, then it makes a vibration in the grip or the handle. So yeah, and I also want to show you guys that indeed the carbon fiber, the 5mm thick plate, is running all the way through the length of the grip, and again, cut off here where normally on the other wheel back here it would be connected here and here, right? So yeah, so we've got the forged carbon all the way through it. So yeah, pretty cool, huh? And I went ahead and pulled off, loosened this up. So let's go ahead and pull the quick release off. There's 4 bolts, 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom to pull this off. And it comes off like that. So there's the traditional Fanatec quick release with the aluminum ring on it. We got a little spring in there, right? And it's caught by this little ring up here. And when we pull it loose, our ball bearings in here can actually be pushed back inside. Yeah, well, how well you guys will see that. We'll try it this way. And then when I push it back up, you can see them. They might come back out. There we go. See them pop back out. So that's how it secures itself onto the shaft of our wheelbase. Right. Nice aluminum pieces here, anodized. Again, everything is just well finished, professionally done as usual from Fanatec. Nothing new to see there. And of course, we have our plug there for our data connections to the wheelbase. You want to be careful when you pull that off or how you lay this down. Obviously, we don't want to be laying it down on these pins here and then causing a problem by bending one, right? And you notice, and people have asked me that before, there's actually a little bit of different length on this one pin over here. Oh, you guys are going to see this. This one pin right there, it's not quite as tall as the others. And some people look down in here when they first get their Fanatec wheel, and they look down in here and go, wait a minute, one of these pins is shorter. Something's wrong with my wheel. But it's not. There's always that shorter one in there. All right. And we could pull that off just by pulling these bolts out, and this whole assembly will come off, and there's a plug on the main board in here. Now, I didn't pull it all the way off as far as the back. I've already done that in other reviews for the Fanatec wheels, on these F1 wheels, so we already know what it looks like. And this finish is kind of a silky finish on this plastic here. I got it kind of greasy here because I've been touching greasy stuff. But the finish is kind of I wouldn't say rubbery, but it's very silky. It almost feels rubbery, but not quite. But a very silky finish. Nice finish, actually. And yeah, so I pulled a shifter off too. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this down like this. Oh, let me go ahead and show you one more thing here. The carbon fiber, as you can see it better now, is the usual weave that we see normally on the Fanatec F1 wheels, right? And you can see the circuit board in there. Again, I didn't pull it all the way off because I've already done that. There's not much to see. Just the usual, very professionally done, neat and tidy circuit board that supports this wheel. Now, let's take a look at this shifter. I want to pull this off because you get a better look at it that way. And it's just not, I couldn't show as much when it was sitting on the wheel, obviously. Again, we have our 3mm carbon paddle with on both sides, has the forged carbon. Pretty cool look there. And you can see that there is a white, let's see the best way for you guys to see this. There's a white tip down in there. You see that white tip right down in right under my finger down there. See a little bit of whiteness there? That is the actual switch. And of course, this is the housing of the switch sticking up here. But there's a little button down in there. And as we push down, it pushes that button. Okay, how well you guys can see that's down there. There, maybe it's better there. There you go. You can see it moving now. Little plunger switch. All right. The exact same setup that it is on the podium modules back here that I have on this wheel. Curious thing, this cable in here is it has 6 wires on it. See that? I'm not sure why there's 6 wires on this, because there's 6 wires on the APMs or advanced paddle modules. And of course we have our Molex plug here, but this is just a switch here. So you really don't need all that as far as the wiring goes. So I'm not sure, maybe it's just some kind of a, the way they manufacture everything. It has the 6 wires and they, for these switches, and they just leave it that way. And of course, on the back of this board here, where our plugs go in, then obviously the circuit board knows which pins are for the shifter, right? And the other ones are just in there because I'm guessing that's the reason why. They just, when you're making a bunch of switches and you're going to be using in both your advanced paddle modules and you're going to be using this switch in the new shifters here, then yeah, why not just keep them all the same, right? Doesn't hurt anything, right? And not only that, makes it thicker, right? It's a thicker, more substantial cable in general that has to be snaked. You have to snake it through this hole here that they have on the side and then bring it back down through the body and into the plug, like you saw when I did the advanced module assembly. So yeah, and these will actually, these shifters are going to be for sale. You can actually buy them. I thought at first that they told me that they were just going to be exclusively on the F1 2020 wheel, but you're actually going to be able to buy these for $99 for the set. And I'm not sure what kind of, I'm guessing it's going to be the regular carbon fiber paddle on here, but who knows? Hopefully it is a 3mm, but I'm pretty sure it will be a 3mm. But yeah, $100 around the third quarter, they're supposed to be able to buy these for your F1 wheels, as long as they have the same spacing there that it should fit. I'm sure they'll give you a list of the wheels that this is going to fit. But yeah, nicely done as usual. All aluminum housing, just nice finish everywhere you look. Yeah, the usual top flight Fanatec stuff. Especially in the, you know, they're making the newer stuff now. They're more high-end stuff, if you will, with the podium series stuff. So yeah, I think that's all kind of being built into this stuff. Right. Anything else we want to see? I think that's it. We did take the cover off here, and that's easy to do. A couple of screws on the front of the plate here, and then you pull this off. So you can do, if you're going to put advanced paddle modules or whatever you need to do on these plugs in here, right? All right, so I guess that's it. Yeah, not much to see on the old look inside, but I did want to show you a few things there that I thought you might be interested in. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and get this thing put back together, and we'll go ahead and hook it up to our wheelbase. I wanted to show you guys how I tighten down wheels on my Podium DD bases now. Of course, I use the locking collar, as you should, but I can't seem to get that quite tight enough with just my hand. So I'll come back with a strap wrench. And this is used on oil filters and things like that, whatever you want to use it for. It's a very useful tool to have around. And of course, I'm just going to cinch it down tight onto the locking collar, and then I'll use the leverage there to turn it further. Now, I'm not going to turn it till I can't turn it anymore. I'm just going to put a good amount of force on it. And yeah, once I get a sense of, yeah, that's probably far enough, then that'll be it, and I'll take it off. And once I've achieved that, then you can see here that there's no flex in the connection between the motor shaft and the actual quick release hub. Might be a little movement in the collar, or the gold collar you see up there that's around the spring and the ball bearings, but that's, you know, you really can't feel it, I think, in the movement. What I feel here is movement in the steering wheel. And of course, that's not uncommon when it comes to steering wheels, because they all seem to have some amount of flex. So we have the F1 2020 wheel mounted now, and of course, it's all back together. And it's working, in case anybody was wondering. And yeah, the gold's kind of growing on me a little bit here. Again, I'm not a big fan of that color, but it looks pretty good here with the gold shaft and accessories that we use to attach this wheel with to the Podium DD2 that we're running. And you can see we have this mounted on the SimLab P1X podium mount, which is a nice solid mount for this wheel. And let's go ahead and walk around here, take a look on this side, and there we have it. Really not much to look at, but it's nice to see that everything has gone back together and it is now firmly attached. Now so we can go have some fun and drive this wheel. All right, so now we're going to do some driving. And I have one of the buttons mapped to change my black boxes, and you'll see me using that right here. Again, all the buttons and dials, yeah, everything just works. And I wouldn't expect it to be otherwise as far as when it comes to the Fanatec wheels. They just work pretty much well out of the box. I really haven't had a problem with one. Now, this is just the steering wheel we're talking about here as far as this review goes. So there's not really much to go over. I'm not going to get into a tuning session or any of that stuff because it all works exactly the same as your Formula V2 wheel, right? So because it's the same thing basically with a different design in the body. Now, speaking of the design in the body of this wheel, there is a different feel to this particular F1 2020 wheel versus the regular F1 V2 wheel. And that's because we're missing, as I said before in the closer look, the carbon fiber plate that joins the bottom of the handles to the bottom of the body of the wheel. That 5mm carbon plate there has been cut away to give it a neat, cool looking design, which I kind of like that design. I know that there's probably going to be a lot of people that aren't going to like it, but yeah, just it's just something different, I guess, is why I like it. And it does have a different feel because of that. I'm not going to say it's real flexy because it's really not, especially because you can see where my hands are gripping the steering wheel. It's not, you know, you put the pressure on the upper part anyway. But yeah, if you're down low and you're trying to flex it, yeah, it's going to be more flexy than a V2. But in actual use, I really, you know, I can go either way. It really doesn't matter to me, but there is a different feel to it. And it's comfortable is the main thing. And yeah, that's what you need in an F1 wheel, especially one that's 270mm in diameter. So other than that, yeah, what else is different? Well, let's talk about those shifters. I really do like these shifters. And yeah, what's even cooler is they're actually going to sell these shifters so anybody can put them on their F1 wheel. I'm not sure if they're going to fit any other wheel, but I'm sure when they do go on sale, Fanatec's going to list all of the available wheels that this will fit. And, you know, I think they're going to be $100, $99 or something like that. So very good shifters, very nice tactile feel to them. They do have the rubber bumpers in there, the inserts, which keep them quiet. And if that's what you like, that's great. But I think I'm going to cut mine off and go with just the metallic click because I enjoy that also. Plus, it gives a different tactile feel to the shifter itself. Even though it's fine the way it is, it just, I think I would like to have something a little bit more tactile in my feel here. And also, speaking of which, we're going from the 2mm paddle shifters that are on like the APM, the advanced podium module, right? That thing, you know, it's got the thin shifters on it. These shifters are 3mm, and it definitely feels different. There's really no flex to the paddle itself when you're using it. I could detect some flex if you're pulling hard on the shifters on the APM, even though I've never broken one, I've never worn one out, so you know, I'm sure the durability is there for those. But yeah, the 3mm is really the way to go because it's a completely different feel. It's very solid when you're pulling it in, and yeah, it's just, like I said, this is a great feeling shifter. I think it's one of Fanatec's best feeling shifters that I've had so far. And if I get rid of the rubber, it's probably going to be the best one because I can't tell yet because that rubber dampens the tactile feel a bit, as you might imagine. But like I said, if you need a quiet shifter, these are definitely going to get the job done. So you can shift away all night and not disturb somebody in the next room. So what else can we talk about? The perforated grips. Okay, this is something that's cool for a style, and I know we have a lot of them in our road cars, and you know, and they do the job, but they're not very friendly to gloves. And I like to wear gloves because my gloves that I use here are actually some bicycle mountain bike gloves that have padding in them, which makes it more comfortable for me under the higher torque levels that these DD wheels can deliver for long stints. And yeah, perforated leather, and just any leather really for that matter, doesn't mix well for driving gloves. Even if I have the regular driving gloves rather that drivers use in real race cars, it's too slick. What you really need is a suede leather handle grip there, or the Alcantaras, or you know, something like that. It's just when we get to the leather, it's better to use your hands and your skin, which is great. But if you're going to do a lot of driving and you've got some high torque in the wheel, I can see some blisters forming before not that much time when you're using this wheel. So I like the looks of it, and I like the feel of it when my hands don't have gloves. But for long-term racing, yeah, I'd much rather have something like the suede or the Alcantara type grips. But then again, that's just me. It's completely subjective, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people out there who would say, hey man, who wears gloves when they drive in sim racing? All right, other than that, the wheel does a great job. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less from a special, strictly limited edition F1 wheel, the F1 2020 wheel that we have here from Fanatec. They've got it well sorted. I think it's a good looking wheel. And yeah, I really don't have much to complain about except, the grips, and that's more of a personal thing. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get to our final thoughts. Final thoughts on the F1 2020 wheel from the guys at Fanatec. This wheel is officially licensed for the new F1 2020 Codemasters game. I like that instead of just making an F1 V2 wheel with some different colors or something like that, Fanatec actually made some noticeable changes here. First, we have real perforated leather grips, and I like the look of these grips. They offer a proper grip when using your bare hands, but when using gloves, they are a bit on the slick side. Of course, this is nothing new. Smooth leather and gloves have always offered less grip than using your bare hands on leather. Just managing expectations here when using this wheel. Next, we have the distinctive use of forged carbon fiber on the faceplate and the carbon shifter paddles. I like the reflective qualities of this type of carbon fiber, and it is becoming more popular as manufacturers find different ways of using it in consumer products. Next are the shifters. Fanatec calls these units the Clubsport magnetic paddle modules. For me, this is the best part of the F1 2020 wheel. They have a great feel to them when in use. A very solid feel with an additional sense of precision in their stroke. And at 3 millimeters thick, we now have what I consider to be a proper carbon paddle from Fanatec. And you will be able to purchase these shifters in the near future. Of course, the most visually noticeable difference of the F1 2020 wheel is the new shape. With its open bottom design, it is easily distinguishable from the past F1 wheels that Fanatec has produced. Of course, this also changes the way the wheel feels when in use. And it's not surprising that it has more flex in it than the F1 V2 does, but really not something that I found annoying. It still has a good solid feel when driving because of where you actually grip this wheel. But you will notice a different overall feel when compared to the F1 V2 wheel. I like what Fanatec has done here with the F1 2020, and it seems that a lot of other people do too, as they are already sold out of this strictly limited edition wheel. I'm Barry Rowland. Thanks again for watching the Sim Racing Garage channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and if you would like to help support what I do here at the SRG, visit my website at simracinggarage.com.